A strong hold over current affairs is your way to succeed in the UPSC Civil Services examination. Brace yourself and get detailed coverage of relevant news both nationally and internationally. With the monthly current affairs revision program starting from 26th October at 5 p.m. Enroll today and elevate your current affairs knowledge with comprehensive coverage of current affairs compiled through relevant sources such as the Hindu Indian Express, Economic Times, PIB Yojana, and others. Expert support and personalized mentoring. Comprehensive assessment through MCQs and mains-oriented questions.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Let's start by taking a quick look at the headlines. Australia passes world first law banning under 16s from social media. Janjatiya Gaurav Divas is being celebrated across the country. Ministry of Mines launches first ever tranche of auction of mineral blocks in offshore areas. State of Tax Justice 2024 report released by the Tax Justice Network. Global Wage Report 2024-25 released by International Labour Organization. Unified Payments Interface fraud cases surged by 85% in FY24, says Ministry of Finance. In a significant move, Australia has passed a world-first law banning under 16s from social media. This groundbreaking legislation holds platforms like TikTok and Meta accountable for failures to prevent children under 16 from creating accounts. It also imposes a duty on these platforms to ensure the safety of children and address the growing concern of social media addiction. But what fuels this addiction among children? Experts point to the exploitation of the brain's reward circuits by social media platforms, creating addictive loop through dopamine stimulation. Additionally, the lack of authentic emotional connections in real life often drives adolescents to social media as a substitute for genuine relationships. The impact of social media addiction are far-reaching. Excessive screen time displaces physical activities, leading to a loss of real-life relationships and social skills, compounded by the fear of missing out or FOMO. It also results in productivity drains and academic disruptions, hindering schoolwork, sports, and other constructive activities. On the psychological front, constant exposure to idealized images fosters unrealistic expectations, while instances of cyberbullying, reduced self-esteem, and concentration issues further worsen the situation. Health-wise, prolonged usage can negatively affect brain development, cause depression, sleep problems, eating disorders, and even lead to exposure to harmful content, including themes of self-harm and extremism. However, the ban has drawn criticism for potentially limiting the positive impacts of social media on children. Social media offers opportunities for digital competence, creative expression, interest-based networking, and collaborative learning. Critics also fear it may drive children to unsafe areas of the internet, such as the dark web. So, what could be an alternative to an outright ban? Experts suggest imposing age restrictions like Meta's policy of a self-imposed minimum age of 13 years. Another approach could be integrating technology-based tools and applications to encourage productive use of social media. Adopting best practices such as Kerala Police's Digital De-Addiction or DDAD centers, which offer free counseling to children battling digital addiction, is also seen as a viable solution. Australia's new law has sparked a global conversation on balancing children's safety with the constructive use of digital platforms.
Moving ahead, Janjatiya Gaurav Divas is being celebrated across the country. The day marks the birth anniversary of Bhagwan Birsa Munda, a tribal leader and freedom fighter. It is celebrated on November 15th to honor contributions of tribal communities in India's freedom struggle and their role in preserving India's heritage. Now, let's take a closer look at the role of tribals in India's heritage preservation. Firstly, let's look at cultural heritage. Tribals have always been the custodians of rich traditions. Their oral traditions and storytelling, such as the Seer Lapalang, the Stag of Lapalang folktale, among the Khasi Nar, highlight a deep reverence for nature. They also carry forward rituals, festivals, and ceremonies, like the Hornbill Festival among the Nagas, which aims to protect the unique cultural diversity and rich traditions of Nagaland. In addition, traditional crafts and art forms play a significant part. For example, Warli paintings by the Warli tribes showcase the profound connection between humans and nature. Tribals also have vast knowledge of traditional medicines. Various plants are conserved and used as medicinal herbs for treating ailments like bone fractures, snake bites, muscular pain, fever, headaches, and body swelling. Next, let's talk about biodiversity conservation. Tribals have long been stewards of the environment. The Solinga tribes use traditional knowledge for conservation of forest ecology in the Biligiri Rangaswamy Temple or BRT Wildlife Sanctuary in Karnataka. They are also key protectors of sacred natural spaces. Plants are conserved in their natural habitat by tribals due to magical religious belief that they are habitat of god and goddesses such as the Maflang Secret Forest, which has been protected by the Khasi community for over 800 years. When it comes to wildlife protection practices, the Bishnoi tribes are known for their dedication to protecting species like the black buck, chinkara, etc. Moving on to India's initiatives to support these communities. The government has taken several steps to recognize and support tribal contributions. The Tribal Research Institute or TRIs promote research on tribal languages, traditions, and medicinal practices. The Tribal Cooperative Marketing Development Federation of India Limited or TRIFED helps market tribal products, offering them communities' economic support. Additionally, the Pradhan Mantri Wan Dhan Yojana taps into traditional tribal knowledge and skill sets by adding technology to convert the tribal wisdom into a viable economic activity. In conclusion, Janjatiya Gaurav Divas serves as a reminder of the rich cultural heritage and vital role that tribal communities have played in shaping India's history and safeguarding its natural resources. In a significant move towards tapping into India's vast offshore mineral resources, the Ministry of Mines has launched the first ever tranche of auction of mineral blocks in offshore areas. This marks a major step forward in exploring India's extensive offshore mineral resources within its exclusive economic zone or EEZ. Let's look at the key details of the offshore mining auction. The auction includes 13 mineral blocks spread across two major regions, the Arabian Sea and the Andaman Sea. These blocks feature a range of minerals, including construction sand off the coast of Kerala, Arabian Sea, lime mud off Gujarat's coast, Arabian Sea, and polymetallic nodules in crust of the Great Nicobar Islands, Andaman Sea. For those unfamiliar, offshore mining or deep sea mining involves retrieving mineral deposits from the deep sea bed, typically at depths of over 200 meters. In fact, the Geological Survey of India or GSI has identified approximately 6 lakh square kilometers of offshore area with potential for offshore mining. Now, why is this so significant for India? The country's offshore mineral reserves are rich in vital resources, including gold, diamond, copper, nickel, cobalt, manganese, and even rare earth elements essential for development. By tapping into these resources, India can enhance its mineral availability, bolster Atmanirbharta in critical minerals, unlock India's blue economy, and reduce dependence on imports. These minerals are critical for infrastructure development, like high-tech manufacturing and green energy transition. However, it's not without its challenges. Offshore mining faces hurdles such as the lack of private participation, requirement of highly skilled labor, and capital. Environmental challenges also come into play, including habitat destruction and disruption of marine ecosystems, etc. To address some of these challenges, the government has taken several steps. Let's look at them one by one. Firstly, the National Geological Data Repository or NGDR portal launched by the GSI covering exploration data. Next, the Deep Ocean Mission, which aims to explore and extract polymetallic nodules. And lastly, the Offshore Areas Existence of Mineral Resources Rules 2024 defines the stages of exploration and the classification of resources and reserves, etc. In conclusion, This auction marks a crucial step towards strengthening India's mineral resource base and boosting its economic growth through sustainable offshore mining.
Moving on, let's discuss the recently released State of Tax Justice 2024 report by the Tax Justice Network, which sheds light on global tax abuse and evaluates ongoing global tax reforms. This report reveals alarming statistics about the scale of tax losses worldwide. According to the findings, countries are losing a staggering $492 billion annually to global tax abuse. Breaking this down, two-thirds of the losses, amounting to $347.6 billion, stem from multinational corporations shifting profits offshore to underpay taxes. The remaining one-third, approximately $144.8 billion is lost to wealthy individuals hiding their wealth offshore. Interestingly, nearly half of these losses, or 43%, are enabled by 8 countries, all members of the OECD, that continue to oppose a UN tax convention. These countries include Australia, Canada, Israel, Japan, New Zealand, South Korea, the UK, and the US. While countries in the global north lose the largest amount in absolute terms, the global south bears the brunt of the impact, experiencing the deepest tax losses as a share of their revenue. This tax loss not only deprives countries of essential public services, but also exacerbates inequalities between nations and hampers domestic businesses. To address these challenges, the report makes strong policy recommendations. It advocates for the adoption of a UN tax convention, which would establish inclusive global tax rules, tackle cross-border tax evasion, and enable progressive national taxation. Negotiations for a UN Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation are set to begin from 2025 to 2027. Additionally, the report highlights the importance of imposing excess profits and wealth taxes to reduce economic inequality, limit monopoly power, and ensure fair contributions to the social good. On the topic of global tax reforms, the report acknowledges efforts like the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development's, or OECD's, Global Minimum Tax (GMT) policy, which aims to impose a minimum effective tax rate of 15% on corporate profits. Other OECD initiatives include the Base Erosion and Profit Shifting, or BEPS Action Plan, which provides tools for governments to counter tax avoidance, and the Common Reporting Standard, or CRS, facilitating the automatic exchange of information about financial accounts. These insights remind us of the pressing need for coordinated international action to address tax abuse and foster global economic fairness. The Global Wage Report 2024-25, recently released by the International Labour Organization, or ILO, offers a comprehensive analysis of wage trends worldwide, focusing on changes in wage inequality and real wage growth. Let's delve into the key findings of this crucial report. Starting with trends in wage growth, the report notes that after a decline in 2022, global real wage growth made a recovery in 2023. Regionally, average wages are rising faster in Asia and Pacific, Central and Western Asia, and Eastern Europe compared to other parts of the world. In India, the report highlights that around 9.5% of workers are classified as low-paid wage workers. Moving to trends in labor income inequality, the report points out that overall wage inequality is on a declining trend globally. However, it remains highest in low-income countries and lowest in high-income countries. Women and workers in the informal economy are disproportionately represented at the lower end of the wage spectrum. Furthermore, informal employment has increased in absolute numbers, reflecting inadequate creation of formal jobs. Over the period of 1999 to 2024, labor productivity in high-income countries has grown more rapidly than real wages, indicating a widening gap between productivity and compensation. The report also provides a way forward. It emphasizes the need for increased research, urging the use of robust data and statistics to measure and estimate changes in inequality. It calls for national strategies to reduce wage inequality by setting wages that consider both economic factors and the needs of workers and their families. promoting gender equality, equity, and non-discrimination. Moreover, the report highlights the importance of redistributing income through tax systems and social transfers, supported by policies that boost productivity, promote decent work, and formalize the informal economy. And here's a quick fact for you. The Palmer ratio, a measure of inequality, is calculated by dividing the total hourly wages of the top 10% of wage earners by the total hourly wages of the bottom 40%. This report offers valuable insights into the evolving dynamics of wages and income distribution across the globe.
In a concerning development, the Ministry of Finance has reported an alarming 85% surge in UPI fraud cases for the financial year 2024. Since 2022-23, UPI-related frauds have accounted for a cumulative loss of approximately Rs 2,100 crore, with over 2.7 million incidents reported. This rise in UPI frauds coincides with the growth in the number of UPI users and the increasing volume of UPI transactions. So what types of UPI frauds are on the rise? The most common type is phishing attacks, where cyber attackers employ phishing emails or messages to lure users. Malware attacks are also widespread, where smartphones are infected with malicious software that compromises UPI transactions. Social engineering fraud involves fraudsters exploiting users' trust, creating a sense of urgency or fear to extract sensitive information. Additionally, wishing or voice phishing occurs when fraudsters use fake calls pretending to be bank officials or UPI service providers over the phone to deceive users. Let's take a look at the rising status of digital UPI transaction and financial frauds in India. In financial year 24 alone, UPI processed 131.12 billion transactions with a total value of Rs 200 trillion, and currently over 400 million unique users are using UPI for real-time payments. The surge in frauds is mirrored by a rise in financial frauds, with a 166% increase in the 2023-24 financial year compared to the 2022-23, according to the RBI annual report. As the digital landscape grows, there are several challenges of digital transactions. Cybersecurity remains a significant concern. Digital financial frauds accounted for a staggering Rs 1.25 lakh crore over last 3 years, as per Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center or I4C. Third-party risks such as threats from dominant internet platforms or digital banking solution providers also pose a challenge. Digital illiteracy is another barrier, with only 37.1% of the urban population able to use the internet compared to just 13% in rural areas. Additionally, issues like limited digital infrastructure and interoperability problems further complicate the situation. To combat these challenges, several initiatives are in place. The Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center or I4C under the Ministry of Home Affairs is dedicated to tackling cybercrime. CERTIN, the national nodal agency responsible for responding to computer security incidents, is also playing a crucial role. Furthermore, PMG Disha is working to improve digital literacy in rural areas, while the Cyber Swachhata Kendra aims to create a secure cyberspace by detecting botnet infections. In conclusion, while UPI continues to expand, these rising fraud cases emphasize the urgent need for enhanced cybersecurity and greater digital literacy across India. In today's Personality in News, we turn our focus to Jyotirao Phule as 28th of November marks his death anniversary. Born in Satara, Maharashtra in 1827, Jyotirao Phule, along with his wife Savitribai Phule, worked as a social reformer, fighting social evils such as untouchability and promoting women's education. Let's look at some of his major contributions. Jyotirao Phule, with the help of his wife, opened the first ever school for girls in 1848 in Pune at the residence of Tata Saheb Bhide. This bold step laid the foundation for girls' education in India. In 1873, he founded the Satya Shodhak Samaj, an organization that aimed to propagate caste equality and fight against the discrimination of lower castes. His writings, including books like Gulamgiri or Slavery and Sarvajanik Satya Dharma, continue to inspire and challenge societal norms. Phule's life was defined by the values of equality, compassion, and leadership, leaving behind a legacy that has influenced generations of social reformers.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. The Ministry of Culture implements the Global Engagement Scheme to promote India's rich cultural heritage across the globe. The Global Engagement Scheme was earlier known as Scheme for Promotion of International Cultural Relations. The scheme has three components: Festival of India, Grant in Aid to Indo-Foreign Friendship Cultural Society Scheme, and Contribution Grant. The Minister of State for Communications provided details about Digital Bharat Nidhi in response to a question in the Rajya Sabha. Formerly known as the Universal Service Obligation Fund or USOF, Digital Bharat Nidhi was established under the Indian Telegraph Amendment Act 2003 as per India's commitment to the Universal Service Obligation or USO. The Apex Court has stated that religious conversions carried out solely to avail reservation benefits without genuine belief amounted to a fraud on the Constitution. In its judgment, the Supreme Court, referencing the case of C. Selvarani versus Special Secretary, emphasized that every citizen has the right to practice and profess a religion of their choice, as guaranteed under Article 25 of the Constitution. The Indian Army has launched the Eklavya online digital platform for officers training, aligning with its 2024 theme, Year of Technology Absorption. Eklavya was developed under the aegis of Headquarters Army Training Command, with the Army War College serving as the sponsor agency. The platform was created by the Bhaskaracharya National Institute of Space Applications and Geoinformatics, Gandhinagar, with support from the Directorate General of Information Systems. Centre is likely to impose penalties on some car makers in violation of Corporate Average Fuel Efficiency or CAFE norms. These norms were first notified by the government in 2017 under the Energy Conservation Act 2001. It aims to mitigate fuel consumption by lowering carbon dioxide emissions, reduce oil dependency and air pollution. The Korga tribal community in Kerala is set to receive land titles under the Operation Smile project. The Korga tribe is one of the particularly vulnerable tribal groups or PVTGs found in Kasaragod, Kerala and Karnataka. PVTGs are identified by the Ministry of Home Affairs, with a total of 75 such communities currently recognized. The Jarwa tribe of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands has been included in the electoral roll for the first time. With an estimated population of 341, the Jarwas inhabit the western coasts of South and Middle Andaman Islands, living their traditional lifestyle of hunting and gathering. This community is one of the original inhabitants of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. India successfully tests the K-4 nuclear-capable ballistic missile from the nuclear submarine INS Arighat. The K-4 is a submarine-launched ballistic missile or SLBM designed to be launched from underwater platforms. Developed by the Defense Research and Development Organization or DRDO, it boasts a range of 3,500 kilometers. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.